Welcome to Relationship Mastery, a podcast for those who want to learn how to master the art of creating happy, healthy, and loving relationships. Please join me, Adey-Jones, and my co-host, Barry Selby, each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific for a lively and informative conversation on everything to do with relationships. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another week. Hi, Barry. How are you?
Hi, Dale. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good as always. The topic of the week is usually prompted by something that I've either read, listened to, or lived through. And today's topic is the living through topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, we are entering into the holiday season, and it's always a tricky time of year, especially we did a couple of great episodes last year about, going home for the holidays, and if you've got that difficult aunt or parent or whatever that have limited time with and things like that, how to navigate that. But what we're talking about today is how to co-parent during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be very challenging on many, many levels. And even though my children are now grown up, I have a 27-year-old and the 31-year-old, it's still challenging.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I made a decision when I got divorced that, well, actually, one of my sons helped me make the decision, was when we didn't have sort of like a strong custody arrangement between us, and we were, pretty fluid as far as that was concerned. And um, but once said to my son, "Well, what would you like to do?" And he just said, "Please do not make me choose." And I thought, "Oh, wow!" I really heard him, and I
Yeah.
thought, "Yeah, it's not. This is something that parents shouldn't put on their children. Like, oh, where would you like to spend it? What do you want to do?" And even though it might be coming from a really wonderful place and really taking the children's feelings into consideration, often younger children anyway will feel that they're being forced to choose and to take sides. So it can be very, it's a very delicate situation anyway. So I decided right then and there that I would 100% let my ex-husband choose the holidays and what days he wanted to celebrate them, how he wanted to celebrate them, and I would always work around it. And it wasn't when my mother used to say, "Why are you giving him that much power?" And I said, "It's nothing to do with him, Mum. It's to do with the children. It's
Mm-hmm.
to do that they will never feel that they're pulled or that they have to anything. They, as far as I'm concerned, they just think that, which is true, I don't put a huge amount of emphasis on what I love family celebrations, don't get me wrong. But whether it happens on a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday, I really don't care. You know,
Right.
spending time together, enjoying a meal together, enjoying festivities together, all of that stuff is wonderful. But when we get locked into an ego battle or a power struggle with our exes about who's having who on what day, all it does is absolutely hurt the children, whether they're young children or older children. They still feel that they are in the middle of making their parents divorce or separation. So I really, really, I mean, I know you haven't been married, Barry, but I know you've had previous girlfriends that have had children. What,
Mm-hmm.
what's your experience with this situation?
Yeah. So just to be clear up front, for those of you who don't know my story, I mean, raised by parents who didn't get divorced several years to my mom passed away. Haven't been married, haven't had kids, so I don't speak from direct experience, but only vicariously. And also, some very recent conversations with friends of mine who are in those situations where they're co-parenting. There's a spectrum,
Mm,
and so my experience with relationships, I'm seeing who I was with who had kids. One of them, she was widow, wasn't relevant, of course, because only one parent. The other one divorced. They were getting divorced in the middle of. They were getting divorced during the holidays, which really made things hellacious for the daughter. So that's a difference. That's a more of a extreme example. But to speak about the people I know, both clients and friends who are in co-parenting situations, I see the spectrum for where basically it is done, like you were saying with you and your ex, but sometimes even more extreme, where basically it was almost like the afraid to even connect with the other person. They're so against the other person that they try to work out things like through an intermediary, ideally not the kids, because in fact I'll go to that in a moment about the kids, but to basically arrange a situation where they can equalize having time with the children during the holiday season. And then I was talking to a friend of mine on Sunday who is going to be spending time with his ex-wife with their kids because they are friends at least, and they can do that. Now that's not common, but it does happen with some where both parents are realizing that the kids are more important or important enough to put aside any stuff so they can just be together for the kids for the holiday time, which can be a nice feeling for both the kids for the kids at the same time.
Mhm.
Speaking of the kids, just drop into this for a second. As you said, and you said earlier, I want to make sure that people get this. Many children, and if you're one of the children of divorced parents, you probably know this yourself, carry this assumed weight that they are somehow responsible for their parents divorcing. It's almost automatic for some reason. For some reason, the kids take it on to a large degree. Now, maybe it's just the caring kids. I wouldn't say all kids, but that's the feeling I get. So anything that can be done by the parents to alleviate that feeling, not just telling them, but showing them something. Like if they can, again, like my friend's doing, get together with their ex for the kids at Thanksgiving, so it removes the pressure from the children. The other way
Mhm.
is also to have conversations with the children that don't villainize their ex. That's one of the challenges oftentimes is things I know you can talk about this too, is that we have this bad habit, unfortunately, as parents, to weaponize our children against their ex.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
isn't
there's so many, yeah, and we're going to go through that. We're going to go through some of the tips and some of the pitfalls
right.
of things to watch for.
Yes.
That is a huge one right there. Never say anything bad about the other parent because
Right.
there's, like you said, children, especially the younger ones, they have they very black and white thinking. Some of
Yep.
them do feel if they have been naughty, quotation marks, that the divorce has got to do with them. The other thing they often feel is that the parent that is choosing to leave the relationship isn't just leaving their partner; they're leaving their child, and
Yes.
there's such a huge feeling that not that they caused the divorce, but that parent doesn't like them and doesn't want to be in a relationship with them, and that's why they're leaving the household because
Yeah.
they don't want to be part of the family anymore. And then the third one, as you said, is well, children again very simplistic. I'm half mum, I'm half dad. So that means if mum hates dad, then she hates half of me, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so you have to be so careful. And I mean, I love what your friends are doing, having the dinner together. I think that it's achievable. I think it's wonderful. When I went through my divorce, it was heartbreaking. I'll just leave it at that.
Mhm.
And I wanted nothing more than to have what I called the successful Demi Moore and Bruce Willis divorce, where they all stayed friends. If I
Yeah.
couldn't remain married, then I wanted that. And unfortunately, some circumstances just do not allow for that, and
Yeah.
mine didn't. And it was a terrible shame, but that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter how many times I feel I reach out to bridge that gap or to communicate. There is a breakdown for whatever reason.
Right.
So sometimes you can't, literally have that conversation with an ex and say, how do we divvy this time up equally between
Mhm.
between both of us, and again taking in the child's preferences as well. What's easier on them if it's older rather, and they're traveling into town, how they're traveling, where is it more convenient for them to stay. So it is a conversation that you can bring your older children into more about what their preference would be if they wanted one base as opposed to two bases, splitting their time equally. It's a very, you've got to be really, really, you've got to absolutely make sure that your ego is parked at the door. And even if it feels that the other parent is vying for more time or manipulating or controlling whatever, this is not the battle that you want to have,
Right.
because the holidays are a time to come together, especially for families that are with grown children and they've moved on and living in different places. The opportunity to come together is so precious and so incredible. It's like you don't want to look back on it and think, God, why did I take things personally? Why did I die on that hill that was completely unnecessary?
Yeah.
So
Why do you force kids into therapy?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is a really well. There's a few that few of the tips, like we say, be flexible. Again, it doesn't have to. Thanksgiving dinner does not happen to have to happen on the Thursday of the last Thursday of November. It can happen around that time. So
Right.
have that flexibility. When you can plan ahead, definitely plan ahead. Let everybody know what the plan is with each other. Um, Again, if you can communicate directly with the other parent, not through the children. Um, the other one is create your own traditions. Sometimes that's the biggest loss, I think, for children and parents when they have to start spending the holidays separately. Just create you can't replicate what was, but you can create a really fun new tradition that you do in your household that you may not have done when you were married. I don't know what that is. I mean, there's many things you can do. I remember one Thanksgiving, it was great. We packed lunches. We all made these giant trays of food and took them down to this big sort of, I don't know, vacant retail store, and we packed lunches for the homeless. We made Thanksgiving dinners for everybody, and then we loaded up our cars and we just drove around town or wherever, and where we saw either homeless encampments or anything, and we just offered people if they wanted some Thanksgiving dinner. And I think that was one of the most special for me Thanksgivings that I'd ever had with my
Oh,
children.
yeah. No, one of the best ways of celebrating any sort of occasion can be to do something really of service and make a difference that way. It's a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
I'll speak a couple of things also, um, and I want to speak more about the Christmas time as well, because I know a lot of our listeners and viewers aren't actually in the United States, so Thanksgiving may not be relevant to them. But this the thing about holidays, which I want to make sure we get the holiday theme, is that it is challenging sometimes, especially when it is a marked in the calendar holiday like Christmas, can be challenging with the kids. Now, coming from England, we have at least two opportunities for Christmas because we have Boxing Day and Christmas Day, so there's a split there. But the other part is, and I'm spinning this way just to give some encouragement for children, is to say to them, it's like, here's the recognition. It's that, yes, maybe you're celebrating holidays with each parent separately, but the reality is this: you get two of each.
Mhm. Yeah.
Christmases, you get two Thanksgiving. So it's like you want to spit in a way. One of the things you do is spin the upside of this, because yes, they may feeling like they're not together, so they're feeling depressed. So giving them, like you're saying, with tips and guidance, give them things that are uplifting and ideally can excite them, because the holidays can be exciting, is a
Mhm.
nice way to bring some sort of transformation to the experience. So you're not stuck in the things like we're not together anymore, and oh woe is me, and you have to suffer with each of the parents. Because the other part also, and this is the other thing as well, again, a tip: if you're one of the parents taking care of the kids over the holiday, remember that you're there for the kids, not you're there against your ex. It's really about not trying to denigrate your ex, but also don't try to outdo your ex necessarily.
I was
But
just about to bring that one up.
the same one also is about when you're also with the kids, is make their time special, make their time valuable, make sure you are giving yourself to your kids as the solo parent, yes, but to really be that as a uplifter to your kids, because frankly, the holidays are largely for the children in this case. As adults, we've been through enough of them. We don't necessarily have to take them all personally, but being them with their kids and adding the value to their day when they're with you is a gift they will remember.
Yeah, 100%. You said something I wanted to comment on this because I think it's
Mhm.
very important again. It's is this is not an opportunity to become parent of the year, the favorite parent, the one
Yeah.
one that gives the biggest, best presents,
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Don't do that. Don't. I mean, absolutely. It's like I'm being very emphatic today. I'm listening to myself. I'm not usually this emphatic, but
It's the holidays.
there's a temptation to sort of want to make your kids happy, but be aware of the maybe the socioeconomic differences between two parents when they divorce. One parent might have a lot less than the other parent. Not everything is always ends up equal
Oh yeah.
in even
Oh
though we
yeah.
think it is. And there can be this opportunity to outdo the other parent and entice the child to go to them with the offer of bigger gifts, bigger extravaganzas, bigger things like that. And again, it's just not the time to do that. Just um, be as you said, Barry, to be as present as possible. And if cooking a big Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is on your own is stressful, tone it down. You know,
Right.
the last thing that those kids need is a stressed out parent because they feel they have to do everything on their own. Change it or involve your children or something. Make it a fun, creative, the least amount of stress as possible
Right.
and the most exciting, as you said, for younger children in particular, just something they really look forward to. And as you said, pointing out the benefits if they now get two of them, not just one, which is
And I'll
always.
top Yeah, and I'd say another one is well um that's two things. One of which is that basically, yes, with Thanksgiving, because it is traditionally a meal type thing. If one of the parents, because it used to be some families, one parent would do the cooking, the other parent wouldn't. Well, the parent who didn't do the cooking, you can always go to places. There are so many restaurants out doing Thanksgiving feasts. Yes, you may pay a premium for it, but the thing is, you can still celebrate Thanksgiving with the kids and give them all of the treats of Christmas, turkey and stuffing, all the different things if they're not vegan.
Mhm,
But do it in a restaurant. So there's things you can do that way. The other thing I'll say, just for Christmas piece for a second, is Christmas sometimes is about being out where you can see all the decorations and see all the wonderful things. So you can actually do this for free if you want to celebrate with your kids. Take around the local streets, especially if you check out beforehand which streets have the most decorations and the lights and everything. So you can be celebrating with them without having to necessarily decorate the house from top to bottom. You can do so many wonderful things without laying out lots of money and having to do certain things. So they feel they've got the cheer and the joy of the season. So there are opportunities all over the place to make Christmas and Thanksgiving and the holidays uplifting without having to prove anything or do anything special necessarily out of whack. You can just do it very easily.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and there was one other thing I was gonna say, going back to that, the gifts and things like that, and about it's not even just the sort of maybe one parent outdoing the other parent, but if possible, coordinate as well. What are you buying our children or vice versa? So I don't get the same thing.
Right.
One is, if you can do that, that's another wonderful thing. Again, I understand this is so much about communication, and
Mhm.
um, you might just have to bite your tongue, and and
Yeah,
um,
this is a yeah,
you have to let a lot of things go. This is not the time to, as I said, to want to stick to something and say, well, these were the plans and this is what we were going to do. Be flexible, be fluid, and as you said, the things that can don't cost any money. Decorating the tree together, um, going for walks around the neighborhood, seeing all the Christmas lights. There are
right.
things so not about money. And again, as we said, acts of service. I think children love to feel that they've done something good. I mean, it's one of the best gifts you can ever give to a child. And even if it's just going to the pound and actually sort of walking puppies and things like that, just again something that you're giving back to to life. So, but the
But
other one,
also,
sorry, what were you going to say,
also
Mary?
just go back to something you said about the gifts and things for Christmas, that sort of thing, and communication. Yes, key communication. Also, the other thing you can do with your ex is to actually ask them what the kids have told them and told you about what they wanted for Christmas. You can actually help each other figure out what to get them. Because the other thing is, sometimes you don't even listen. So one of the gifts you can in, yes, the post-divorce experience is share what the kids have told you they wanted. So your co-parent, your ex, can contribute some way to that as well. So there's little things you can do that can soften the blow, so to speak.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is also what can also be used to manipulate are the grandparents. It's like, but I need them because my parents want to see them. It's like, this is again, it's not about grandparents, it's not about parents, it's about the children.
Yeah.
And do what's fair for the children. There was one other thing I wanted. Oh yeah. So when you might be feeling a little manipulated or pushed around or whatever, and that anger might be rising. For me, one of the best things to ever dissipate um, disappointment or upset or anything is gratitude. And I always tell myself that nobody else could have given me the two children I have. Nobody. I would have had hopefully children with somebody else, but I wouldn't have had the two that I have. And I
Right.
don't change that for anything. I love the two I have,
Right.
even though they can be challenging at times. But that I love. So it's important to keep looking at your ex and saying, you know what, you gave me these two beautiful children, or however many children that you have, that we're sharing, and it might not look like I had wanted it to look, living in two separate houses, but the gratitude for having those children really helps take the sting out of any ego stuff, power control issues that are going on.
Yeah, that's so true. And this is the thing, is that we are dealing with, you know, the spectrum of family arrangements that are on board, on deck rather, in terms of whether it's ex or divorce or separating or antagonistic or cooperative, all these different things. Obviously, what we're speaking to is a general term, because the reality is that those of you out there listening, your relationship with your ex, if you're in that situation, is not something that's going to be fixed in a certain way. It's going to be unique and different for every person. So take what we say as advisement and counsel, that not saying these are hard rules, but just think of these things when you're going forward, so you may be able to incorporate them into the relationship you have with your children, especially, and with your ex, so that you can have at least something joyful for yourself. And one of the challenges of being a co-parent during the holidays is oftentimes we beat ourselves up for not being the best parent, because we're now in the separate. We're not co-parenting like in house with somebody. We're separated from them. So part of this also is, how do you treat yourself during the holidays as a parent? So yes, you take care of the kids, but you're not killing yourself to do it.
Yeah.
You're starting from a place of caring from your own overflow. I took a lot of my work about self relationship and about really having this place where you can give from your overflow versus from your lack. So yes, take care of the kids, but fill yourself up first, especially when you're not with the kids yet, so you can be more able to give more easily, more overflowing, more joyful. Because the other part also is, they will feel that from you.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Yeah,
about to do that. It does. Your stress is they can read it like a book. So
yeah,
all you're doing is adding stress onto them if you're stressing yourself out. Exactly. Do things that you can manage comfortably, but loving and connection is the main thing. And prioritize, as you said, self care. If there's a moment that you need to take a moment out and breathe. If sadness comes up, because if this is your first Christmas with in a separate household, it can be very triggering. There can be a lot of sadness around that. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with having your feelings, just 100% have your feelings, but be aware of protecting your child, in the sense that that you can have your feeling, but go take a bath, have a little weep in the bathtub if you want, something like that. And again, and end up with the gratitude, because that, as I said, is that will just it just is that beautiful smoothing over of any upset, is like, yes, I'm grateful. You can't be grateful and happy as well as angry and resentment. It just doesn't seem to sort of be able to. I mean, I can think you can flop from each one, but usually the gratitude for me anyway, tends to put a stop to any of that sort of resentment I might have had, and to look for the positive. I'm laughing right now because I'm thinking my children are coming this afternoon. Oh, well, one son lives with me still, but the other son is coming down with his girlfriend and his two cats. So, but the cats are not welcome at my ex's house. So the cats are going to be living with me for 4 days, while
yeah,
my son and his girlfriend go backwards and forwards. But again, it's like I'm looking at it as they're my fur grandbabies, and I get my fur grandbabies all on my own. And just you play a story, whatever it is that helps
yeah.
you be.
It works
It
absolutely.
it works, and it's lovely that they feel comfortable enough to that they can leave their cats with me while they run around town and do what they need to do. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's sometimes I just think we lose sight. We put so much pressure on ourselves at this time of year, between the gift giving and the cooking and everything, that we do lose sight about what it really is. It's about connection, it's about love, and it's about, we always say, well, I say that, you know even if you're divorced, a relationship never ever ends, it
Right.
changes.
Yes.
So you're still in relationship with your ex, whether you're divorced or not, and
Mhm.
how you rewrite that, and how you move forward with it. I mean, again, beautifully, if you can do what your friend is doing, and I have a couple of friends that do that. They manage to they're all together for their holidays, their children's birthdays, holidays, everything. They come together, and
Mhm.
if you can do that and you can do it harmoniously, then that's wonderful. That's definitely something that
Yeah, I want to add one more piece to this because you said something earlier that gave me a thought. Is the thing that we have this challenge with sometimes around the holidays is we feel like we're going to present a certain level or impact so they get impressed. It's something like you want to make sure it's all shiny and bright.
yeah,
Whereas reality is, it really is about, as you said, the love and the connection is the feeling level. And the thing is, oftentimes we forget. We're so busy doing, doing, doing. We're not remembering how to be with their children.
yeah,
And to be honest, the things that we do for the kids, they will remember for a period of time. But the way we are with the kids will remember much longer. So it's so much more important. I feel like that you are with your children so they can appreciate what it feels like to be with you. And it's not so much what you give them because you're training them in bad habits. If you say, "Here, what I've given you," because then they become, you know, gift giving focus rather than owning the presence of the being, but how you are with them, so they feel loved, they feel cared for, they feel supported, they feel connected, will last much longer. So make sure that's top of mind, like priority for you to be when you're around with the kids during the holidays. Because one, if you do that, that also take you out of the habit of trying to be denigrating to your ex because you'll just be with your children. So make that
yeah.
priority.
Yeah, and the other thing is, when you were saying that, is that, this, we've touched on it when we said it's not a competition. We don't
Mhm.
need to overload our children, overstimulate, overload. Um, you know, the last thing a child wants is, it's when you're planning too much. They just,
Right.
they're at school or something all week, or college or whatever. Let them relax, let them rest, let them,
They
and
want
just
down.
be, there's no need to sort of just have such a full schedule because you're trying to make up for what you feel is a loss. But as you said, Barry, which is so beautiful, you get to have, many parents, believe it or not, a lot of fathers actually, more so than mothers, I think. So I do think that in general, mothers tend to have a bit more time with their children. But
Mhm.
for fathers that have gone through a divorce, that that opportunity to be one on one with your children is huge. Sometimes within the marriage, it's a little bit like more sort of, well, I work late and your mother can deal with it or whatever. I'm not saying it's very traditional, and I don't mean that in a broad brushstroke. There's lots and lots of fathers that are very, very involved in the day to day routine with their children, but to also have that child understand that they don't have to split daddy with mummy. They get daddy
Right.
all to themselves, and vice versa, you know? So
Yeah.
there's ways that are not anything to do with material things or activities. It's just, as you said, it's just the
Mhm.
being with each other in a very special way. Going for a walk, going through the neighborhood, you just said, looking at the lights, looking at all the beautiful things that come along with it, with those festivities.
Mhm. There we go. Lots of things to do.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think we are done for today. Well, happy holidays, everyone. Oh, I did want to mention, there's a couple of episodes we did last holiday season, which I think are really worth having another look at and listen to. One of them was called "Surviving," the spiritual solution to surviving the holidays. Those
Mhm.
of us that sometimes there's a challenging family member that you are not particularly enthusiastic about seeing, but they're going to be there.
Well, the thing about that especially is this year, because of what happened with the election last month, or early this month rather, can maybe make that episode even more relevant to you than it was last year. So worth watching, definitely worth listening
Yeah.
again.
Exactly. And then there's another episode. These are around, like, I think it's 46, 47, somewhere around that. We're on 103 right now, but is about being lonely. Not everybody has
Oh
somebody to
yeah.
be with during the holidays.
Hmm.
We're talking about families and family dynamics and co-parenting and children, but this can be a very, very lonely time of year for many people. So that's a great episode to listen to as well. And we give lots of tips on what to do to feel
Yes.
sense of community and love, and that just because you're not in a intimate relationship with another does not mean that you have to spend the holidays alone by any means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you for another week, Barry, and I will see you next week.
Enjoy the holidays.
And you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye. We trust you enjoyed this episode and invite you to share this with your friends and loved ones. In fact, please subscribe to our Relationship Mastery podcast. That way you'll get each new episode fresh and shiny as soon as it is released. We'd love to hear from you as well. So go ahead and enter your questions and comments at relationshipmastery.show. Take good care. We will connect with you in our next episode of Relationship Mastery.